minutes till broadcast. One minute till broadcast.
What's up, guys? Welcome into it. Happy post-Monday celebration. It's going to be a fun one today. There's plenty to talk about. No guest today. You and I chit in the chat, man. We are ready to rock and roll for another one. Moving through the week, I know it's been difficult, but don't you worry. We got you covered here. Got a lot of big news for you on a lot of different fronts, actually. So, yeah, we'll just try and cover the gamut the best that we possibly can. Make sure to like it out, share it out, leave the comment, break the algorithm. Let's do this thing for a Monday. Hang tight here for the program. Or, post-Monday. Sorry, not Monday. We're not we're not doing it again. Hang tight.
Five, four, three, two, one. Begin transmission.
Broadcasting from the heart of the nation, the next generation in conservative talk radio. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Oh, yes, it is. What is up, my friends? Welcome into it. It is your post-Monday celebration, the greatest day of the entire week. Now that you're back into the groove of things, it's going to go a heck of a lot easier for you the rest of the week. I can tell you that. So look forward to it. The light at the end of the tunnel is almost here, but yeah, we are just going to carpe diem all over the place. We don't look forward to the weekend ever. We do, but at the same time, we look forward to the productivity, the awesomeness, and the carpe diemisms that we do every single day, especially here on the program. So welcome into it. It is the Voice of Reason. My name is Andy Hooser, broadcasting out of the heart of the nation in Wichita, Kansas, on our flagship radio station. But we are all over the country with so many great radio affiliates doing our thing.
Do it live!
Like we do every single day here on this program. No guest today. You and I chit in the chat, doing our thing, looking at each other across the bar, staring into each other's eyes, and solving the issues of the day. There's plenty to talk about and cover for sure. Before we do all that, though, there is some big news that I am super excited to announce on a couple different fronts. Number one, we have a very large list of radio affiliates that are about ready to join us, which is really exciting. So first, before we do all that, that's cool. Thank you for that. We'll be announcing some here soon. One of them is a new affiliate for the weekday show. Although they were already an affiliate for the weekend program, our syndicated program on the weekends, our weekday show, for some reason, man, is growing really substantially. And in fact, we have literally just about half of the affiliates from the weekend show that are now broadcasting the weekday program. And we want to welcome onto the weekday program. They started it yesterday, or I guess this morning, because they air it right at midnight, which is totally fine with us. But really happy to have on the program. Welcome aboard 9:30 a.m. The Answer, KLUP out of San Antonio, Texas, baby.
Say what?
I know. Thank you guys so much. We love you very much. And we're so excited to be on for your weekday program. Even though we are kicking off the middle of the night, I love that time slot. In fact, I've told you my dream, when this all comes to fruition, the dream of this program will be a 9 to midnight program across the nation. We're going to recap your day. We're going to have some fun and get you set for the next day and kind of be the last ones to cover all the big news of the day. So broadcasting in a top 25 market, San Antonio, Texas, KLUP, 9:30 The Answer for the weekday program. We also have some more stations coming on for the weekday show and the weekend show very soon, so stay tuned in for that, and that's really exciting. If you want the show, more information on the program beyond just the radio affiliates, You can, of course, go to our website at HooserReason.com, HOOSER Reason.com, and find all the information with the list of affiliates that we have, links to all their stations, of course, our social media sites with the same handle at Hoosier Reason, and, of course, the podcast that is growing exponentially, which you can find, and I highly recommend that you download it, subscribe to it by just typing in The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser on any of your favorite podcasting sites. All right, that being said,
What's trending today?
enough about the PSA of the show. Let's talk about the big events and big happenings of the day today. There is some other really big, exciting news today, and it has nothing to do with us. It has something to do with this nation. We are officially having and hitting today, now that we are into the 250th birthday of this nation. We also today marks the 1-year anniversary of the official certification of the Electoral College votes that were done by none other than, at that time, Senate President, which would be the Vice President of the United States, the person who cringed in making that announcement at all, the person none other than Kamala Harris.
The state of the vote for the President of the United States, as delivered to the President of the Senate, is as follows. The whole number of the electors appointed to vote for President of the United States is 538. Within that whole number, the majority is 270. The votes for President of the United States are as follows. Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 312 votes. Kamala D. Harris.
You can imagine how cringy that was for her to have to read that on the congressional floor. Can you imagine? Going crazy. And she has to write out the applause. Like, all right, shut up now.
Kamala D. Harris of the state of California has received 226 votes.
And the Democrats applaud for that one, which is really kind of funny. All right, you didn't even get close to the majority. You got your butt kicked. One of the biggest wide margins in a political victory that we've seen in a very long time, especially for a Republican, which is, shocking, I think, for a lot of Republicans to see that Donald Trump not only won the Electoral College vote by that bad and that much, but also won the popular vote as well. And as we continue to kind of look at the last year in review and the current events that are happening today, what a difference, light and day, that we've seen in this nation on many different fronts, including the foreign policy. I know, obviously, with the past news this weekend of the collection of Nicolas Maduro, now the chaos going in Venezuela. That's where we're going to start the program today.
What's trending today?
Where, I don't know if you've seen it or not, but apparently there has been some individuals rising up, some militia-type individuals that are rising up into the streets of Venezuela, according to the Express.com, that there are fears of a civil war brewing in the nation now that Nicolas Maduro is no longer there. Now, I know. And we can talk about the reason. Was it good? Was it bad? We have some clips from Chuck Schumer in just a minute, and we'll talk about where we go as a government on whether this was actually a productive thing or not. In my opinion, it was, and we'll discuss that in a minute. But before we do that, you have to remember the media is going to demonize this in every way, shape, or form. They criticized Trump for not acting against Maduro in the last administration. We have tweets that have been resurfacing now from Joe Biden, from the Democrats, calling on, even op-eds within the New York Times that have called for Donald Trump to do something about Maduro. Joe Biden didn't do it. Barack Obama didn't do it. But by golly, Donald Trump should have done it. And why didn't he do it before? Because he likes him and likes to get in bed with dictators. Now that he did it, how dare you do it? Because it's really, really bad for some reason. That's where the media is going. So they're going to continue to obviously spread the fear-mongering and hysteria on this issue. According to the Express, they say civil war fears are growing because of far-left militias taking over the streets of Caracas right now in Venezuela. That was expected. I want to be very clear. This is not something that's like, oh my gosh, what's happening? Everything's falling apart. We knew something like this would happen. There are multiple cartels in the nation that are operating within the country, and with Nicolas Maduro gone and the new vice president that's now been sworn in as the president of the nation that tried to butt up against Trump, and then Trump said that her outcome would be worse than Maduro's if she didn't cooperate with us, and then she was like, oh yeah, we love working with Donald Trump in the United States. That we knew with all of the different cartels that are down there that we still have yet to clean up, or they have yet to clean up, that it was going to be kind of weird until things level out. And that's why Donald Trump, thinking about this, knowing what was going to happen, made the comment that we as the United States are going to run Venezuela for the most part, by default, the de facto runners telling the leaders what to do in Venezuela until we can find a proper leader. And by finding a proper leader, that also means cleaning up the revolt or the uprising or the potential militias or the potential organizations that are going to try and rise up and actually take over, like how Maduro took over in the first place. And if we're going to do a regime change, which most of us are not fans of doing, but if we are going to do it, then we need to make sure it's done the right way. And when we heard about this issue the first time, I told you that we need to reference and go back to the time when George Bush ended up topping over Iraq, and then we had the whole, purple fingers and the election and trying to instill a constitution and trying to teach them how to live under constitutional law. And they didn't get it. It just went right over their head. They're like, what are you talking about? We don't live by the rule of law here. We just go and execute our opponents, and we just live in a dictatorial type of mindset. They couldn't grasp the idea that you weren't allowed to do things. And it's the same mindset in Venezuela, because we know that for a fact when Nicolas Maduro went to court on Monday and was talking over the judge and was surprised at how many rights he actually got as someone that was on trial for narco-terrorism here in the United States. And he was like, this is a little strange. That's kind of weird. So it's not unexpected. We know that there's going to be some unrest for a while. We have to settle that to stabilize the nation before we move forward. It's called, and I know it's very unpopular with this term, but it's called the transitional period. So what now? Let's get into
what's trending today.
There was a statement from Chuck Schumer today because, again, Democrats, after calling for this to happen for a long time, now they're like, well, we like it. We just don't like how he did it, which is the statement in order for them to continue to demonize with the extreme TDS flowing through their veins.
They think they can do step 1, take out Maduro, and they have no idea what steps 2 through 10 are going to be, which gives all of us a great deal of worry. I asked 4 simple questions.
All right, so we're going to break this up and we're going to answer the 4 simple questions from Chuck Schumer, because there is a legitimate concern from both sides of the aisle about the argument about regime changes, about getting involved with our foreign affairs, and was it even constitutional? Let's talk about those aspects, right? Because I think that's the direction they're going to go. I think that's the attacks that they're using against Donald Trump. He did it unconstitutionally and so on and so forth. So what questions could Chuck Schumer possibly have?
How many American troops are we going to send to Venezuela? They don't know.
Okay. Well, right now, we don't know, but as of right now, we don't need to, because, well, it's not an invasion. That's the issue, which is why they've coined it as an invasion. Donald Trump and the U.S. invades Venezuela. No, we did an extraction. 2 helicopters came down, grabbed the guy, got out. There are no military on Venezuelan soil right now. Are we going to need to try and put out some of the uprisings and militias? I don't know. But as of right now, there are no military on Venezuelan soil. We did not do an invasion.
How long will we be running Venezuela?
Again, these are stupid questions that are asked. If we're going to ask legitimate questions, can we do legitimate questions? Hey, constitutionally, should we have done what we did? All right, let's have that conversation. According to the Trump administration, Senator Senator now, but Secretary of State Marco Rubio, they said this was not an invasion. It was not a military act of war, which is what they've tried to deem this as. It was nothing more than an arrest of a narco-terrorist who had put assassination hits and attempts onto elected officials in the United States, who has been deemed as a narco-terrorist by shipping in drugs of cocaine, fentanyl, everything else into the United States, and had a bounty on his head for $50 million. So we went in on a military base with the assistance of the Department of War. We got him, and then we got out. Boom, done, over. That's it. And until they stabilize, we'll continue to guide policy and recommend policy. It's like the recommendation that you had when you do, like high school football, the 2-a-days. Like, if you're going to play, then you're going to want to show up. We can't make you, but season's coming up. If you want to play this season, we'll see you at 9 o'clock this morning for the 2-a-days for NFL or for football training, right? That's that's kind of what we're at right now with the recommendations to the new leader for the nation of Venezuela. But they used, if you want to call it a loophole, you can call it a loophole in the Monroe Doctrine in order to allow us to do this. If you want to talk about America First, it was an American First agenda that said we had drugs coming into the country, we had threats from a dictator, they were abusing their people, which maybe isn't our place to deal with, but at the same time, we don't want to see our allies be abused by a dictator, but they were harming our people with human trafficking, drug trafficking, so on and so forth, by a dictator who's put threats on American people, including elected officials. Yeah, that's an America First agenda to make sure that doesn't happen, and we didn't declare war, but we arrested an individual. If you don't like that, change the laws at the federal level, man. It's very simple. Get rid of the doctrines. Get rid of laws that were passed in the early 1900s. Update all of those, not the Constitution, but update all the other laws outside of the Constitution, or get rid of them all and just go back to constitutional principles in theory. And just use those and only that, and get rid of all other federal guidelines and regulations, and then we can have a conversation. But until then, Donald Trump used the same idea as what he did with his taxes back in the day before he ran for president, and said, yeah, I have a lot of tax loopholes. I don't pay a lot of taxes because you set the system up that way. If you don't like me doing that, then change the system to where we can't use it that way. And that's what he did with this. In good, bad, you can decide that. You can have that conversation. I think it was a good idea. In fact, I thought it was pretty brilliant, in order to get rid of a bad guy in our own hemisphere that was harming us when we could be utilizing those assets for sure. What else did Chuck Schumer have to say? We'll cover that when we come back here. Plus, the response from the media going after Stephen Miller on CNN and Jake Tapper. Is it really America first? All that for a Post Monday. Stay here.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
When America builds, the world follows. Our energy powered the 20th century. We've set the standard for generations, and we never waited for permission. But now, we're being held back. Outdated rules, endless delays. Without permitting reform, Washington's red tape is slowing us down while other nations race ahead. It doesn't have to be this way. We can clear the way for energy that's affordable, reliable, and built right here. Because what's built here is felt here. Lower costs, more jobs, stronger communities. That's what permitting reform makes possible. Energy didn't just shape our country, it powered the American dream. And with our innovation, we can lead the 21st century. Congress has a choice. Build America's energy future or risk falling behind. Tell Congress, pass permitting reform now.
Miss any part of the show? Well, don't worry. Now's your chance to go find the podcast and listen to as much of the Voice of Reason as you'd like. As the show continues to grow all across the nation with great radio affiliates, we also continue to grow as one of the top conservative podcasts, ranked 5th on the MillionPodcast.com Best 50 Conservative Leadership Podcasts in the nation, and number 1 on FeedSpot.com's 30 Best Conservative Talk Shows in the country. The show continues to grow each and every day. Just find us on any of your favorite podcasting sites at The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser. Hey, did you know that you can have multiple different networks on one single smartphone? Well, with Patriot Mobile, you can. It's time for you to sign up for the Patriot Mobile primary phone plan with plans as low as $15 a month, where you can have 2 numbers and 2 networks on one single phone. And right now, if you sign up using the promo code REASON, you can get an entire month absolutely free. It's the Patriot Mobile One plan. 1 phone, 2 numbers, and 2 networks. And it's all at patriotmobile.com/reason. Again, patriotmobile.com, and use the promo code REASON.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? How did 2 guys in a cramped California garage reimagine the phone and put the power of the universe at our fingertips? At Americans for Prosperity, we believe greatness can happen anywhere. We just need freedom and the opportunity to make it real. But today, with a rigid system stifling progress, limiting creativity, and holding us back. That's why at AFP, we offer solutions that tackle the most critical challenges facing our country, so there's nothing standing in the way of America's next breakthrough. Because what we build today doesn't just shape the future, it defines it. How will you be defined? Take your first step today with Americans for Prosperity.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever, every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason.
When reason meets radio. This is the voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
They think they can do step 1, take out Maduro, and they have no idea what steps 2 through 10 are going to be, which gives all of us a great deal of worry. I asked 4 simple questions. How many American troops are we going to send to Venezuela? They don't know. How long will we be running Venezuela? Don't know. Unknown. How much is this going to cost? We tried to pin them down. No answer. What country is next? Unknown, but I was very unsatisfied when I asked them, are they considering going into other countries?
All right, so that's Chuck Schumer. That's his 4 questions that he asked the Trump administration and Republicans regarding Venezuela. Are those the questions that we should be asking? No, probably not. In fact, we know they're not. I mean, there are questions that need to be asked, and we can ask legitimate questions, but are those it? No, they're really not. We'll get back to that in just a moment. Want to tell you about my friends over at Americans for Prosperity. We are officially in the 250th birthday of this nation. How freaking awesome is that, man? Greatest year of my lifetime, I think of all of our lifetimes, to be able to enjoy 250 years of this nation. And I want you to go to a website, takeonesmallstep.com. That's takeonesmallstep.com. Our friends over at Americans for Prosperity, they are getting you ready for the 250th birthday, educating us on the greatness of this nation, the greatness of all of our ancestors that fought for this nation, both in the battlefield and politically, and be able to create the greatest nation on the face of the earth, and what we can do now to make sure to preserve it and give us another 250 years. That's pretty great. Go to takeonesmallstep.com, takeonesmallstep.com. It's free to sign up. You can get all the information, but it's time to educate yourself and your family and your neighbors and your kids and your grandkids and whoever else for the 250th birthday of the nation and our friends over at Americans for Prosperity. By the way, if there is a concern, and again, it's sad that we have to even go over a lot of this because the questions that they ask, if they want to sound really smart, they want to ask a really tough question or really try to have a conversation or a dialogue about issues. They're not doing that. We have legitimate questions that we can be asking. One of them from the other side, from our side, from the Republican conservative side, has been, is it America first? Is it constitutional? Should we be doing something like this? Do we like regime changes? We've been pretty critical about doing regime changes in the past. But this one seems a little bit different, and we're going about it a little bit different compared to what we've done in the past, for sure. And for the America First, I know that we've seen a comment from Marjorie Taylor Greene on this is not America First, and we're just distracting from all these other issues. It seems to be a, for sure, America First agenda, which is what Stephen Miller said on Jake Tapper CNN.
The reason why I was giving you that speech, which I know you didn't want to hear, is because you're approaching this from the wrong frame. This neoliberal frame that the United States' job is to go around the world and demanding immediate elections be held everywhere, immediately, all the time, right away.
No. All right, hold on. I want to stop right there for just a moment. Do you remember during the Israeli and Gaza-Palestinian conflict when there was the concern about Benjamin Netanyahu, Democrats who have now turned on Israel, and even some Republicans that have turned on Israel, not supporting Israel because Israel runs the world, the evil Jews are running the world. That's a mindset that's kind of infesting ourselves across the nation. But there was the call from Chuck Schumer, a Jew, by the way, that was advocating for a forced election to remove Benjamin Netanyahu as Prime Minister of Israel. You remember that? That wasn't like a year ago. And apparently we're allowed to impose our will onto Israel, who is an ally, But apparently we have more authority over there than we thought to encourage a forced election to remove Benjamin Netanyahu during an ongoing militant conflict with an invasion from the Palestinians and the Gazans trying to come into Israel and bombing them with Iran and everybody else as a threat around there. He wanted an election. So we can call for an election to remove Benjamin Netanyahu, not allowed to go and get rid of a narco-terrorist. That's kind of weird.
That's not what I think, but you invaded the country. We went into the country and we seized the leader of Venezuela.
Damn straight we did.
And I'm
Because
saying,
we're not gonna let,
so is the
point,
U.S.
Jake,
going to have
the
new
point,
elections?
Jake, is that we're not going to let Tim Pot communist dictators send rapists into our country, send drugs into our country, send weapons into our country.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about you, at least to me that sounds pretty America first. We'll cover some more of that, plus we'll shift gears when we come back around the corner. Your thoughts on this, I want to hear from you by going to our website, HooserReason.com. Stay here.
This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser with the Voice of Reason. Fighting for conservative principles seems more difficult all the time. The progressive left finds new and creative ways to limit freedom, abuse power, and trample the Constitution each and every day. That's why we need the knowledge, resources, and common sense to push back. And that's where we can help. Head to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can find our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Let us know your thoughts on current events with different surveys and chat rooms. And keep track of what I might be doing or where I may be speaking. Plus, when you head to the website, you can always get great deals and different offers from all of our great radio partners. Finally, if you want more of the show, you can find our podcasts with all of our great episodes and your favorite guests. And make sure to check out the latest Voice of Reason infomercials and maybe some other special content. And it's all because of you being part of the Hoosier-holic family. Let's continue to fight for conservative common sense principles together by going to HooserReason.com. Why? Because it's kind of the reasonable thing to do.
Mid-America Business Minute. The Dow Jones Industrial Average is up 484 points today to 49,462. The S&P 500 was also up 42 points to 69,44. And the Nasdaq also increased 151 points to 23,547. The S&P 500 and the Dow Jones Industrial Average reached new heights today. Member Amazon lifted the three major averages, rising more than 3%. Other stocks related related to artificial intelligence also supported the broader market, including Micron Technology and Palantir Technologies. Oil prices fell today. Brent crude fell $1.72 to $60.70 a barrel, while WTI crude settled at $57.13 a barrel. That's down $1.19. Gold closed today at $4,506 per ounce. Silver closed up at $81.32 per ounce. I'm Stephanie Austin.
This is the Big Talker, KQAM. Your home for live talk radio all day long. The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser, live at 4 p.m.
That every outlet has been exercised before we actually advocate for military action in some type of conflict around the world. Someone who is the head of the intelligence department would be kind of important there because, as you know, with the military-industrial complex, that they like to cause issues and be like, oh, look, so-and-so attacked us. Now we need to go be involved with them.
And Joe Pags live 5 to 8.
That's not okay. If I lost 54%, I wouldn't have any radio stations, wouldn't have any television stations. The reason why some people do well, not just me, there are tons that do well. The reason why that's happening is because it's interesting, entertaining, and it's truthful. And opinion you can either argue with or agree with. On MSNBC, they just made it up.
America's favorite talk radio shows are only on the Big Talker, KQAM.
Cats are masters at using up their 9 lives, like chasing laser pointers into walls or jumping onto high shelves. But the one thing cats never do, text while driving. So be like a cat and protect your one and only life. Don't text and drive.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
Hey, it's Andy Hooser. Make sure to join me for Kansas Talk every Saturday morning from 9 to 11 a.m. right here on Wichita's Big Talker, KQAM. We'll cover the latest news from across Kansas, from state legislative updates, covering the latest from the campaign trail, ongoing community debates, and so much more. Plus, we always love chatting with great guests and, of course, taking your phone calls. It's Kansas Talk, Wichita's #1 and local conservative talk radio. It's brought to you by Napoleon Appliance Repair and Fizz Burgers and Bottles. And it's only right here on KQAM.
Truth, reason, and common sense. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
My wife, by the way, my wife hates when I do this. She said, you know, she's a very classy person, right? She said, it's so unpresidential. I said, but I did become president. You know, she hates when I dance. I said, everybody wants me to dance. Darling, it's not presidential. She actually said, could you imagine FDR dancing? She said that to me. And I said, there's a long history that perhaps she doesn't know.
Trump's got moves, man.
Because he was an elegant fellow, even as a Democrat, right? He was the attack by Japan, you know, he was quite elegant. But he wouldn't be doing this. But nor would too many others. But she says, darling, please, the weightlifting is terrible. And I have to say this, the dancing, they really like.
I never thought about the whole Donald Trump dance being weightlifting, but that makes so much sense. OMG! That makes a lot of sense when we actually watch him. Now, look, I got to tell you, Trump got style, man. He's in the late 70s. You got to give him credit. He just has fun. He does his little, I guess, the iron pumping. Yeah, pump the iron. Do it, Donald Trump. Do it. Come on. That's his dance style, and I will give him full-on credit for that. Well done. Well done. But you know what? I can see Mrs. Voice of Reason saying the same thing, and that's the funny part. So Mrs. Voice of Reason, she gets embarrassed with things that I do on a normal basis as well. I'll tell you a little story, and then I swear we'll get back to the news. Back in high school. So for those that don't know, my wife, we are high school sweethearts. We met my freshman year of high school. We started dating my sophomore year of high school, for 1 year, and then she graduated because she was a couple years older, and then we ran into each other again actually when I got into broadcasting and got into radio, and she was also in radio and broadcasting, and we ran into each other. It was fate to be held, and we've been together since, and we hit oh gosh, she's gonna hate me now, 13 years, 14 years of marriage, been together for like 20. So yeah, it's been pretty awesome. So nonetheless, in high school, I'll claim it in my yearbooks. I always got credit for being the most festive and having the most school spirit, because I would come to school looking pretty ridiculous. Maybe it's the showman in me. I don't know. Why do you think we're in radio? Probably because we're a little bit off. But our colors for the school were blue and gray. We were the Huskies, Platte Canyon Huskies out of Platte Canyon, Colorado, or Bailey, Colorado. And our colors were blue and gray, so I would dye my hair blue with blue hair gel, and then I would wear like tube socks, one blue, one gray, and then shorts. And she always swore that those days she never knew me. She did not know who I was. And I would love to go out of my way to embarrass her. I still do. And now that we have an 11-year-old daughter, I get to embarrass her now as well, and I cannot wait as she's getting more and more self-conscious going into middle school and being in the 6th grade this year. So anyways, there it is. I totally see it. I love it. And thank God we have again, like, dislike President Donald Trump, he's a human being. And everybody that despises Donald Trump, when they talk to him one-on-one and talk to him personally, they're just like, wow, he's a cool human being, super nice guy. And the fact that he's laughing about the dance, which the pumping the iron, the pumping the weights, is the dance style. Well done on that one, President Trump. All right.
What's trending today?
Let's shift gears a little bit. So I want to bring it back down to the domestic front here for just a moment and focus on one issue that really hasn't gotten a lot of attention, but I think it probably should, and especially we need to, again, clear the air, set the pace here, understand the tone, so that way the narrative doesn't get out of hand. Because one thing, for whatever reason, conservatives, Republicans, we have talk radio, we have podcasting, we have a lot of influence in the narrative, in the dialogue of where we set the tone for conversation, and yet for some reason we're always kicked back on our heels and we never address the issue. So I want to address the issue first and foremost before it gets out of hand, and that of course is the ongoing health pandemic from the flu spread during flu season. Because, of course, all the blame is being put on RFK Jr. being anti-vax and changing guidelines from the CDC, the FDA, and all the other health organizations at the federal level. And one of the big announcements that's happened here that you may not be aware of has been the fact that the CDC, under the guidance of Robert F. Kennedy Jr., by a presidential memorandum from President Donald Trump that was signed yesterday on December 5th, that President Trump has directed, this according to the HHS website, hhs.gov, on December 5th. I'm sorry, that was last year, so it's finally taking hold now, unless they had a typo. This was updated as of January 5th yesterday, but it says December 5th, 2025, which means either he signed it last year and it's finally taking hold now, or he finally did it yesterday. But signed a presidential memorandum directing Secretary of Health and Human Services and the acting director of the CDC to examine how peer-developed nations structure their childhood vaccination schedules and to evaluate the scientific evidence in underlying of those practices. Now, you can imagine how badly people are on the other side, especially after coming out of the COVID pandemic, how they're going to lose their minds on this.
We're all going to die because of you!
And I got to be careful because we just got back on live streaming on YouTube, and I really don't want to get kicked off of there again. So we're going to try and be very careful on how we orchestrate this conversation. The CDC has now updated the vaccination schedule for children and for infants especially. As you know, we get a lot of vaccines as a child, as an infant, as a newborn baby, and growing up until you're about the age of 18. We vaccinate our children more than any other nation on the face of the earth. And do we have any better health rates compared to those? No, we do not. We do not. In fact, it's not even close. Like, we have the largest obesity rates. We have heart disease more than anybody else. We have the most childhood obesity. We have a lot of immune problems. We have autoimmune problems. My wife has lupus as an autoimmune issue, and we can't directly relate it to some of the vaccines she may or may not have gotten, but we have our inkling, and we're trying to deal with that the way that we can, along with so many other families that are trying to deal with this issue. So the reason that we have more vaccines, I don't know, but we changed it to where now we're going from 18 down to 11 total vaccinations for children compared to the schedule that was back in 2024, where we're getting rid of vaccines for children that include the rotavirus, hepatitis A, hepatitis B, meningitis, RSV, that includes a respiratory whatever virus, COVID-19, and the flu shot. All of those no longer mandatory for children to get, and I see that, again, personally as a huge, bigly, major win. This is This is probably one of the biggest victories that we've seen yet. And we've had a lot of big issues on the health issue for sure. Getting rid of dyes out of foods, trying to actually get from farm to table and not going through as many processing plants and not putting as many chemicals in our food. All of that are great wins. Not going to take any of that away. But Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the CDC, the Health and Human Services, this is a whole nother level of victory, in my opinion, by getting rid of these. How many kids do you really think need a hepatitis A and B shot as a kid? How many newborns need a meningitis shot? Now, to tie this with the ongoing issue right now with the CDC in the flu pandemic, and I'm going to say that in air quotes for our listeners right now, that we have 30 states, according to the Independent UK, that 30 states are seeing spikes of flu during flu season, shocker, where they say that now we're in a crisis of having more flu cases than we've seen in 30 years, and they blame that on who? Robert F. Kennedy Jr., of course. Now, the total cases estimated right now, according to the CDC, come in at 11 million cases of the flu that are confirmed by those that actually probably went to a doctor and got confirmed with those flu cases. Out of 11 million, you can look at the stats. I did not do the numbers here because they're obviously very small. Out of 11 million flu cases, 120,000 were hospitalized with 5,000 deaths. Now, as sad as it is for 5,000 deaths, we know nothing about those. This is... all of a sudden, are you having deja vu with these conversations? This is the same conversation we had during the COVID pandemic. And we have to look at these numbers because this fear-mongering, this hysteria about individuals getting the flu and dying is the same argument they used during COVID. You got to get the flu vaccine or else what?
We're all gonna die because of you!
When you can say out of 11 million people, 5,000 people have died, that number is extremely, extremely small. And then, of course, you got to look at other factors that could have been, pre-existing conditions or sick on top of that beforehand. So, does that mean that we're blaming RFK Jr. for 11 million flu cases, some of the most that we've seen in near 30 years, with a high rate across 30 different states across the nation? To me, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Why? Very simple. Sad we have to break this down. I'm not a doctor, so do not take medical advice from the voice of reason. That's our disclaimer for the show today. That there's a flu virus out there called the super bug that is known as the variant K of the flu. Do we really need to go down? I don't know that I want to go down this road because I feel like I'm banging my head against the wall. But for those that may be new to the program, maybe we need to. This is the quick summation. Again, not a doctor. Don't take medical advice from the voice of reason. But from the basic understanding of how this works, flu is a virus, and viruses are biological things, and they deviate, and they create new variants, and they create new strands. And the flu shot that you get every year, now I will be the first to admit I have never received a flu shot in my entire life, and I have zero intention of doing so until I get some type of pre-existing condition or ailment to where I'm very susceptible to it, which is the people that probably should. Again, go do your own thing. That's the beauty of what we promote as conservatives, is you live your life and do your own thing. But as we created vaccines to try and stop the flu or limit the effects of the flu, which is a virus, which is a biological being, then it tries to adapt to stay alive and stay viable, which means we get different variants. Which means the super bugs that we are seeing in the biological world today are created by none other than ourselves. Because as we've tried to create vaccines to prevent them, the biological beings have recreated themselves to different variants to become stronger, which means if we didn't go down this road of everybody being vaccinated for every stupid little thing, we wouldn't have as many crazy variants and super bugs out there. The reason we have so many high cases of the flu today is because every year they guesstimate which variant or which strain of the flu is going to be prevalent. They make the vaccines to target that one specifically, and if they get it wrong, then no one's really protected. It can limit some of the symptoms, but no one's really protected. And the variant K is a super bug that we didn't even know was on the radar, which is why everybody's sick. But does that mean that we failed and that we're not giving as many vaccines? Come on, man. How ridiculous.
This is the voice of reason with Andy Hooser.
Big government is broken. Every year, politicians fail to pass a budget as the deficit continues to grow. Every month, unelected bureaucrats pile on rules no one voted for, strangling our economy. And every day, DC's broken system gets in the way of the American dream. Washington isn't working, and the people pay the price. At Americans for Prosperity, we believe it's time to fix the system. Now, Join the movement to make government work.
Oh, hey, sorry, I was just enjoying one of my snacks during the break. You know, it's hard to find good quality snacks without all the unhealthy additives, but I'm here to tell you that problem is over. It's time to enjoy J&S Smoked Snacks. Real cuts of beef, real wood smoke, and real flavor that's crafted in small batches to keep every bag fresh. And with numerous different flavors, you'll never get enough. This is not your average gas station jerky. It's J&S Smoked Snacks. Find them online at jssmokedsnacks.com and tell them I sent you.
When you choose Patriot Mobile, you're not just picking a wireless provider. You're choosing a company that shares your values. It's easy to switch, and you can keep your number, your phone, and most importantly, your values. With Patriot Mobile, you get the power of nationwide coverage on all 3 major networks. That means wherever life takes you, we've got you covered on the same reliable networks you already know and trust. And when you need us, we're here for you right here at home. Our customer service is 100% US-based because we believe that support should come from people who understand you and your values. At Patriot Mobile, you're not just another call, you're a priority. In today's world, where you spend your money matters more than ever, every dollar is a vote for the kind of future you want to build. Join the thousands of Americans making a difference with every call, every text, and every connection. Choose a company that shares your values. Choose Patriot Mobile.
Switch today and get 1 month of service absolutely free by going to patriotmobile.com/reason.
What fuels the freedom to dream bigger? Our country's greatest breakthroughs were born from bold ideas and the ability to take one small step forward. At Americans for Prosperity, freedom and opportunity find their defenders. Because our country's next giant leap is just around the corner. Are you ready to step up?
Hey, the live show may be almost over today, but it doesn't have to be for you. As always, enjoy The Voice of Reason with our daily podcast by finding The Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser on any of your favorite podcasting sites. Just find us, subscribe, have it automatically downloaded, and listen at your convenience whenever you want to bring some more reason into your day. And a lot of people are doing it. Also, you can always find the video of the show, along with articles, additional commentary, and maybe a few sarcastic remarks by following us on our social media. Stay up to date with everything going on with the show, including upcoming guests, breaking news stories, interesting articles, and maybe some memes. Help us in the ongoing battle with censorship and shadow banning from social media by following us on the social media at Hooser Reason on all of our social media sites. For all the social media links, podcast links, contact information, or just general information of the show, go to our website at HooserReason.com. There you can listen live every day, read our latest monthly blog, find our radio affiliate list, or even listen to our latest infomercials and special content. Plus, you can always reach out to the program by sending me a message on social media, emailing us at HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com, or sending an email through our website at HooserReason.com. Whether it's content on the show, whether it's a guest that you've liked or disliked, or whether you want to disagree with me, and disagreement's always appreciated. While you're there, make sure to sign up for our monthly newsletter. Each month, you'll get the latest update on the show, updates from the Hooser Media Network, and our latest blog discussing topical issues of the day. Finally, if you want to help support the show, become a member of our Patreon site and help us fight for the cause of truth, reason, and common sense every day, and get more of the same by becoming the ultimate Hoosierholic. Get additional interviews that sometimes we don't always get to air on the radio. Hear our special segments or even our infomercials before anyone else, and have a chance to chat with other great Hoosierholics from all over. By becoming a Patreon subscriber, you're not only helping the fight for conservative values, you're helping us get more content and information out through the Hooser Media Network. Find out more information online at HooserReason.com. Lastly, follow and support all of our partners with the show. The Voice of Reason has been growing more and more every year, and it's because of so many great partners helping us get the message out to you. From show partners to local radio affiliates in your area to streaming sites, podcasting sites, and more, we have so many supporters and listeners now than ever before, and we want to thank you. It's time to bring back common sense, and we do it right here every day with the Voice of Reason.
America's safe space for common sense. This is the Voice of Reason with Andy Hooser.
I'm terribly sorry we went down that road in that last segment. We had to. We just got to break it down. We got to do the reminder. I want to get ahead of this conversation before we start hearing more about the conversation with the amount of flu cases and the amount of people hospitalized and how it's RFK's fault. In fact, it's already starting. There was a hit from, what is this, MS Now, which is that the new term for MSNBC? I don't know, MS Now. They did an interview. They interviewed a doctor on there talking about the change in the infant vaccination schedule. And obviously some doctors not very happy about that because, well, we just want to inject all your kids with everything because then we'll make them superhumans, even though now we've created super bugs and our children aren't healthier than other children around the world. So I don't know why we need them, but apparently we do. And if we don't do that,
we're all gonna die because of you!
That's right. So the doctors that were on MS Now said this.
I think what Robert F. Kennedy Jr. believes falsely is that children are getting too many vaccines too soon, and that's somehow weakening or overwhelming or perturbing the immune system and putting them at risk for chronic diseases, which is false. And there's abundant evidence showing that's false. So that's what he's doing. He is a war against vaccines. And so now he's taking vaccines that have routinely protected us against diseases and made them essentially optional. It's the so-called shared clinical decision-making, meaning you can reasonably make a decision not to get these vaccines and put your child at risk. And what I fear is it's going to cause a continued erosion in vaccine rates, and we're going to continue to see the kind of outbreaks we're seeing now.
Good.
Of measles and tetanus.
Not true.
And whooping cough and flu.
Not true. Okay, none of that's true. None of it's true. I'm sorry. Again, don't take medical advice from the voice of reason. However, we've had many doctors on this program, so we kind of have a generalized idea of how this actually works. Let's remember that the measles that was spreading throughout the year this year, one of the worst years of the measles in a very long time, started happening well before RFK Jr. even got into office. The measles was already running rampant, and it had to kind of run its course. That was before we did any changes on vaccinations. That was before we did any changes on health guidelines. That was before we ended up giving people options. And for them to say, no, we're going to see an ongoing decrease in people not using these. What is wrong? And this is a legitimate, serious question. If you disagree with me, please, for the love of God, email me, HooserMediaNetwork@gmail.com, or send it right on our website, HooserReason.com. For the love of God, please explain to me, how is it that we have something called a natural immune system and that somehow that's not able to work normally, so we have to have these vaccines in order to protect us from things? Now, look, there are some things we need it, and if you're immune compromised, then obviously you need them. This is about choice. If you want to get it, get it. All the power to you if you feel you need it. If you're scared of the biological world, if you're immune compromised, if you're sick, get it. Do your thing. If you don't want to get it and you want to try and use it naturally and boost up your immune system using vitamin D and magnesium and doing all the other stuff and getting healthy and losing weight and being active, and you just battle it naturally, you have the choice to do that. But Andy, then they're going to get us sick because they're spreading it. Really? You're vaccinated. You're the one covered. What do you have to lose? You're already covered there. Again, same conversation we had during COVID. It's crazy, man. But they're trying to pin all of this on RFK Jr. when it all started before RFK Jr. even got in there. Except for this flu season, which was a variant that we didn't catch with the vaccines that went out there, which doctors are even admitting and be like, well, we didn't catch this variant with the superbug variant K of the flu, but you still need to get your flu shot so that way you can minimize the illness when you actually get it. You can minimize all the symptoms. But you didn't stop it. So what's the point?
Not to get these vaccines and put your child at risk. And what I fear is it's going to cause a continued erosion in vaccine rates, and we're going to continue to see the kind of outbreaks we're seeing now of measles and tetanus and whooping cough and flu, where flu has killed, almost 300 children last year. So all this in the midst of one of our worst flu seasons, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has, through HHS, Health and Human Services, just stepped up and said, it's an option. You can get it if you want it.
That's exactly it. We want that. It is an option. You can get it if you want it. That is the best news I've heard all day long, man. I don't know why that's so controversial. It's very strange. Here's the thing, and if you want to relay it to ideology or philosophy or even the role of government or constitutionality, name one place in the Constitution where it's the government's role to make you healthy. The government's role is not to make you healthy. We do not live in a collective society, regardless of what Mom Donnie tries to say in New York City. We do not live in a collectivism, socialist type of mentality. Individuals get to make their own choices. And if you want to get it, cool. If you don't want to get it, all the power to you. We don't live collectively. That's not the way we function in society. I want you to have that choice. That also leads into other conversations we don't have time for, though, that include the fluoride in the water because, well, it protects your teeth. Is it the government's role to protect your teeth, or is there something else weird going on there? Again, more conspiracy with the tinfoil hat segment of the day with Andy. We'll do that later on. Until then, though, we are out of time. Back at it again tomorrow. We have some great new guests. We have some great new affiliates we'll announce, and we have a heck of a lot of conversations to get to, but trying to stay ahead of the curve, having those conversations before they get out of hand, and we have to play defense all over again. But be your own voice of reason, be that catalyst for change. We'll see you back on the radio soon. Bye. Hey, it's Andy Hooser. You know, when I get off the air every day, the battle for me against limited government, censorship, and even unfactual content is far from over. That's why now I'm so happy to say that the Hooser Media Network is giving you more opportunity to catch the voice of reason along with other great shows and podcasts. It's been a long time in the works, and now you can finally enjoy more great content, services, and topical shows. We're the safe space for alternative talk, information, and ideas that the mainstream media absolutely hates. From holistic and alternative medicine, discussions on religion and spirituality, pure entertainment shows, and of course yours truly with the voice of reason. Plus, we offer numerous media services, including helping you set up your own podcast. Become your own voice of reason and bring your expertise to any fun issue or topic. For information on all of our shows, links to podcasts, each show website or social media link, or to find out about everything we do to challenge the mainstream establishment, visit our website at HooserMedia.com. Again, that's HooserMedia.com. The future of